Hi, my name is Mike Deed. I am the Priest Missioner for All Saints Mission in the Diocese of Niagara and downtown Hamilton. So today I want to tell you the story of All Saints Mission. It is a good story. It's a story of deep roots, hard letting go, and a faithful new beginning for a congregation in the heart of downtown Hamilton. All Saints Parish had its home at the corner of King and Queen Streets for 150 years. And that church, very traditional church, served as a place of worship, community, and shared life. And the building was a landmark in the city. And for generations of people, that building was home for baptisms, weddings, funerals, and a lively worshipping community. The challenges began for All Saints Parish following a rare earthquake in 1998, which damaged the church's structure. The tower was declared unsafe and taken down, and in the process, it was found the original building had unsafe foundations, and that deterioration was inevitable and impossible to rectify without a multi-million-dollar repair project. And those costs were both beyond what the congregation could bear, but also they were not a reflection of the ministry they wanted to be investing in. So initially, the congregation entered into a brave partnership with a developer to build a new church space and attach to it much needed affordable housing, something that's still in great need here in Hamilton. The intention was to move out of the old building and to move back into a whole new space within 3 years. But the developer walked away from that project, leaving the congregation, who were by this time worshipping in a nearby residential nursing home, without their church building and without a way forward. In 2016, that historic stone church and its surrounding buildings were finally taken down. And this loss of a building was not just a loss of bricks and mortar. That was the loss of a familiar spiritual home. Church buildings hold many things. They hold memories, they hold identity, and they hold hearts. Letting go of that building was a grief and a long process of transition that stretched people's faith and trust. That congregation became a community without a permanent place, a wilderness people. Later they would be worshipping in a nearby Presbyterian space, and then with a neighbouring Anglican parish. And over the 15-year period, several partnerships were sought and did not come to fruition. Among the people of All Saints, numbers dwindled until there were only a handful of people left. In 2022, the Diocese of Niagara, under the leadership of Bishop Susan Bell, affirmed a new way forward. All Saints was going to disestablish as a parish and become a mission. And that mission would have a mixed ecology focus, embracing different expressions of Christian life and outreach, but rooted in openness, inclusivity, and relationship with the wider neighbourhood. In May of 2022, I was appointed as the Priest Missioner for All Saints Mission. And together with the faithful remnant of that parish, we began to imagine together what it meant to be a church that was bound to mission and presence in the world. And that was not a quick or a simple journey. That asked a lot of the people who were left and former parish priests. We had to release long-held attachments to ideas and to things and to dreams. We had to walk an uncertain future with some courage and humility. We had to revisit questions about what it meant to be a Christian, what it meant to be Anglican, and what parts of our tradition would still serve the work of the gospel. Which of them needed to be reimagined and maybe even laid down. In April 2023, that vision took concrete form, and All Saints Mission opened a new worship and ministry space on King Street, right back at the corner there. And it's not a grand stone church, it's like a shop front, a space intentionally integrated with the life of the city. This is a church that looks out on the street, that meets people where they are, and that seeks to be a visible presence of God's love in downtown Hamilton. This wasn't merely a change of location, this was a transformation of identity. Within the new space, we decided to keep fragments of the past. There are 2 stained glass windows, which were chosen intentionally. One told of the call to discipleship, and the other was entitled The Proclamation of Peace. We kept a cross that formerly mounted the roof of the old church. It got restored, it's painted, it hangs on the wall. We kept the old lectern, and that's still used to proclaim the word. And the original 150-year-old font now stands in the window of the gathering space. These things were preserved and incorporated into our new life, not as relics of what was lost, but as bridges into what is being made. We've had to consider new ways of doing things we've always done and find new meaning in them. An example would be the altar. The old altar had been lovingly kept in storage for many years. It's beautiful and heavy, carved wood, but we had to replace it with a smaller portable table that suits the space and allows us to display symbols of the church here on its face. And as we began to live into the small but flexible space, we allowed ourselves some time. We had to notice what it was a mission space needed to be, how the space needed to work for its purpose. And that took months before, for example, we nailed down a space to call a chapel, a regular space dedicated to prayer. And now, a few years later, only now, we're allowing ourselves to find art to hang on the walls of the building that help the space speak to our mission. There are no easy transitions in the life of faith. Letting go takes time, trust, and a willing heart. The people of All Saints learned to travel light, to conserve what was life-giving, and to let go of what fettered them to the past. And out of that faithful letting go, a new mission has taken shape. A mission that's rooted in prayer, community, and service to our neighbours. Today, All Saints Mission stands not just as a place of worship, but as a place of community, a place of invitation. It's open, I hope, to new people, new ideas, new expressions of faith. And we're trying to live into that belief that the church is far more than a building, and that God is already at work in the streets and the hearts of all who come seeking connection, service, and belonging. Becoming a mixed ecology mission was not about replacing one form of church with another. It was about how we learn to hold more than one way of belonging at the same time. For the remaining members of the former parish, this meant discovering that their faithfulness was not being discarded, but gently rerouted into a wider mission, shaped by listening, hospitality, and trust in God's unfolding future. A mixed ecology recognises that people come to faith, or back to faith, in very different ways. Some people will arrive through worship, but others arrive through friendship, through service, through creativity, through shared activity. All Saints Mission began to ask not how do we bring people into church, but where is God already at work in the neighbourhood, and how do we join in? All Saints is situated in a downtown context which is shaped by de-churched and unchurched lives, and the whole neighbourhood is still taking shape. There is massive new development which continues apace around the new All Saints space, and the transient nature of the community has increased massively. Amidst that change, All Saints, conscious of our time and resources, has tried intentionally to create spaces of welcome, and have tried not to assume church language or prior belief or religious confidence among those whom we encounter. We've held special events, some as simple as a free community cafe, and others as structured as a prayer bead workshop, alongside other gatherings that invite curiosity, reflection and conversation without pressure or expectation. These moments offer room to explore meaning, hope, longing in a way that feels safe and very human. We've hosted Christmas parties for adults with developmental needs who live locally just around the corner from us. We lead a regular monthly Eucharist in a nearby residential nursing home. And as priest missioner, I've been able to hang out in local coffee shops and pubs and join the local neighbourhood association, as well as attending community activities. And as we have walked this very slow but very intentional path, the life of All Saints Mission has started to take shape. There's a baking group which became a place of connection and shared joy, where there's so much conversation and laughter just flows naturally and relationships deepen. That group began praying together, and nurtured a relationship with the local Indigenous drop-in centre. And now some of the baking they produce each week goes to feed those who aren't sheltered and drop in for support. The Sunday morning community, shaped around a Eucharist, is growing slowly, with many newcomers returning to church after many years of absence. On Tuesday mornings, our Seniors Connection creates space for isolated seniors in the neighbourhood to come together for games, refreshments, and companionship and conversation. That group has held a Christmas cafe, an Easter brunch, a screening of a local production called We Must Never Forget, which was for Remembrance Day, and a discussion about creation care, which took place during the season of creation. On top of that, for 18 months at All Saints, we held a weekly space for quiet and meditation, and that's about to take on a new form, which particularly is aimed at inviting those who have no faith background to explore spirituality and to share wisdom in the context of a community. Other gatherings and initiatives continue to emerge, each responding to different needs, ages, and spiritual rhythms within the neighbourhood. So this is what mixed ecology looks like on the ground. Worship in communities alongside community-based expressions of belonging. Prayer alongside presence. Tradition alongside experimentation. It is slow and it is relational work, and that's shaped not by quick results, I wish it were, but rather by attentiveness, trust, and faithfulness. For the community that journeyed through loss, grief, and profound change, this way of being mission has required courage, it's required a lot of patience, and it has meant learning to let go of certainty, to try new ideas and be willing to fail, to embrace vulnerability and to trust that God's Spirit continues to call the church into new forms of life, not away from the gospel but deeper into it.